Well, greetings and hello. I have returned. We are doing a Leonardo da Vinci, the Ferronnière, La Belle Ferronnière, one of a handful of Da Vinci's that have been proven to be an actual Da Vinci. Mainly through fingerprints, I should might add, that they found on the Mona Lisa. But that said, it is a magnificent painting, and I must say it's a challenge. Gotta admit, tis a challenge. But as you know, I love a challenge. So I have chosen this painting because I really and truly want to see if a Da Vinci can be rendered in acrylic. And I gotta tell you, so far, so good. I have something else to tell you a bit later, which I'm sure you may be interested in. But as it stands right now, we are commencing painting. I'm sorry I have not been on as much as I would like, but as the summer comes, I have a group of students who are out of college and out of, well, I don't know what it is called now, but not, it's high, I guess it's high school, but you know, I don't know, because they're 18, 16, so anyway, and they are coming much more often because they are out of school, and so painting time and teaching time now is running into each other. So the consequence of that is simply that my time is getting chewed, and it will stay chewed up until, I guess, early September. So I apologize to the people who are following these paintings, but it will go back to normal. It will. It's just that not right now. But needless to say, the when I'm on, you can catch them on YouTube, and you can catch them on Twitch as pre-broadcast or broadcast, and so it's not all bad news by any means. Sneaky butter, look at that, he puts a half shadow in there. Yeah, I see it. You gotta hand it to Leonardo. Man alive, this bugger. Did he paint out? How do you tell it was Leonardo? Well, it's about perfect. That's all you can tell. He leaves no stone unturned, as they say. He's an amazing incredible painter, meticulous in his application of paint, and I am amazed every time I work out a new section that he's done, just how incredible it is, because he's first of all, he uses a very, very complex palette. I don't care what anybody says, it's very complex. And he manages to pull off incredible combinations of colors. And as I had stated in an earlier program, I should say, he does this non-stop. Oh, it's not what I mean to say. But what he does is he continues to amaze every time he pulls in a new color. And the trick to doing these is, I think I explained that, like when I went away to Belize, they were just introducing like 1280p and all that stuff. And when I came back, I had no idea that the galleries in the world had bought into this instantly. And the consequence of that is that you can get an image from the gallery where this is with a resolution so high you can even see the brush strokes, if he had any brush strokes, which he doesn't. So it's truly incredible. It really is. It's I still can't believe it. I did that Vermeer and I went, yeah, we'll have to find a good photo and see what I can do with it and Photoshop it to get it higher res, like I used to do if I'm doing one of these. And lo and behold, they're available now. In fact, that one I did of Vermeer, the girl with the red hat, it was so good that I literally could count every brushstroke. I'm just in awe of the quality of the reproduction. It's like, not reproduction, but the photo, the reference photo that you're allowed to get, and it's just unreal. I've done these over the years. I mean, no question about it. I mean, I've never made any bones about it. I've done them over the years, and I always worked off the best photographic reference I could get, and the ones I really liked I kept. And I had done the girl with the pearl earring quite some time ago, and I had done it in oil. I didn't do it in acrylic, I did it in oil. And I worked off the best reference I could find anywhere. And I got to tell you, when I compared what I just finished in acrylic to the oil reproduction based upon the reference that I had, oh man. So I mean, it looks just like her, don't get me wrong, but the subtleties of color, there's just no comparison because I couldn't see them. Just didn't see them. So I went into my file, I pulled out the photograph because I keep them, that I used, and compared to the online Wikipedia, believe it or not, photo that was there from the gallery that it's in, escapes me right now which one that is. I was dumbfounded. I just dumbfounded. I just can't believe it. So I threw out my reference photo and said, don't need it. And I'd actually thought to use that reference photo before I did the painting. Before I discovered, I went for a good, I always go for a look, because you never know, something better can be posted online, right? I mean, somebody might have even a better photograph, so I always take a quick look just to see. And I found the one on Wikipedia, and I went, oh my God, how can this be? But it was. Yes, it was. It was there. Hallelujah. I was hoping to get that pale terracotta in with just a little bit of mixing. Because he's got a very faint glow line in here. Very faint. And I wanted to get that in. Right down to the chin here. Now that is not going to do, so I have to take my paint off the brush and lightly mix that sucker in. There we go. There's always one spot, Jesus Christ. So what I was doing the other day, I was going through some YouTube videos, and I came across some Twitch fails, like, where they get booted or something. I don't know. Anyways, I thought, well, what gets you booted off Twitch? I mean, Jesus. I was kind of intrigued. I never even heard of that. So I said, okay, well, like, I know nudity will do it. I mean, they make that quite clear in their terms of service. So yeah, okay, I respect that. No problem. I can live with it. Don't have to agree with it, but I can live with it. But anyway, so I play this video. Somebody has collected like a whole bunch of these, and I start watching them, and I'm going, people are out of their minds. Literally. I'm going, are you kidding me? Like, holy God. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. How dumb people are. Not just dumb, but crazy. Like, Jesus. It wasn't even like... Anyway, I was, caught me by surprise just how crazy people can be. I don't know why. I know how crazy people can be, but this was unbelievable crazy. To me, anyway. Maybe some people thought it was okay. I don't know. But geez. Crazy, crazy. And then they wondered why their account was suspended. What did I do wrong? Well, have you watched your video? Obviously not. I mean, there are channels out there that have no problem taking that kind of stuff. You know, like some are paid channels, some are free channels, but you know, they're out there. It's not like they're not. So what the hell are you doing this on Twitch for? Like, how dumb do you have to be? Like, I don't know. It was hilarious. Like, I thought it was hilarious, but it's, I was just stunned. I went, you're kidding me, right? No, they weren't kidding because they had broadcasted. Damn. I was more than a little surprised. And frankly, I really and truly, I don't blame Twitch at all. Like, how do you deal with a crazy person? You cut their account off. Yep, that's what they did. Like, Jesus. I never saw anything so nuts in my life. Anyway, just goes to show you, old dog, new tricks, you know. And I guess I'm the old dog because I had no idea that stuff had been played live on Twitch. Jeez. And then there's people who have been banned for like a month or something. And then they come back and do exactly the same thing. What's that all about? What were you thinking? Like, they would just sort of like forget that you were nuts? Like, and then they got a permanent ban. Now apparently a permanent ban simply means that you can't come back for 2 years or something. And I didn't see anybody come back after 2 years. Well, maybe it's not long enough yet. But God. Gotta tell you, you need some serious help, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen who are suffering those bans. And I mean serious. No question about it. I started wondering, like, did they have a live show first on YouTube and then YouTube banned them? Then they went over to Twitch? I don't know. I never bothered to look, but I kind of was wondering that. But it's definitely a. Now don't get me wrong. I know people are crazy. I do know that. There's no question about it. I know that. It's how crazy. Because these people seem to think that the world has to see how crazy they are. And the world is Twitch. Like, you know, like if you can be. So, you know, yeah, I'm a lunatic and I want to share it with everybody. Oh, okay. So I'll do this on Twitch. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Sounds right to me. Sounds right to me. Yeah. Like, well, of course. Jesus. And the major thing, they don't seem to know that they're crazy. But and you know, I've had a lot of experience with crazy. Like, you know, like artists are, you know, by and large can be a little weird. When I went to Ontario College of Art, believe me, there was a real stable of weird people there. No question. I remember there's this girl. When I first started, she looked normal. Well, I guess she. Well, I don't mean she was stark or even mad crazy, but weird. And she well, I guess after all these years doesn't make any difference. So many years is that now? 48 years ago? I guess it doesn't matter. So anyway, what she does is they would say, well, oh, hey, how's the so-and-so today? Or where's so-and-so today? So, you know, like friends and whatever. Yeah, where is she? Like, somebody said, she's in school. I saw her. So, well, she's not in class. I hope something didn't happen. Like, this something serious or something. Like, where is she? So, we checked the school. In those days, it wasn't. Well, I guess it was about the same size when I think about it now. A little bit, well, smaller, but not as big as it is today. But it was not hard to check the whole school. Couldn't find her. Where is she? Where'd she go? So we looked and looked and looked. Went down to the office. Did anybody get, you know, like, get hurt or get taken away for something? No. Everything's cool. Okay. Where is she? So, you found her. She was up in the roof of the school, flying a kite. Now, in itself, it wasn't like crazy. I mean, yeah, if you want to go fly a kite, sure. I mean, after all, we're in art school, right? I mean, you want to go fly a kite, go fly a kite. And there was no law against flying a kite off the roof of the school. So we didn't think anything of it. She greets everybody, says, "Oh, I'm up here flying kite." Okay. So nobody really thought anything about it. So a week or so goes by, and where's so and so? I don't know. So we go, well, we looked like a mad crazy last time. Let's go check the roof. There she is. She's flying a kite again. And we go like, Mary, why are you flying a kite again off the roof? Oh, it just gives me this wonderful feeling. I said, okay. Okay. A few days go by, same thing happens. Go up on the roof. She's in a bathing suit flying a kite. So, Mary, this is like end of September or early October. Aren't you cold? Like, what are you doing? Oh, freedom. Flying a kite, yeah. It's great. Now people started to say, there's something about Mary. So this went on and went on and went on. And finally, says, where's Mary? She's upstairs flying a kite. Okay. So the girl said, we'll go check it. And I thought, there's a few girls in the group. I thought, yeah, okay. You sure you don't want to come with you? No, okay. So anyway, they go up. And they hustle Mary off the roof. So I noticed there was a little bit more consternation than normal, because, you know, people start saying, yeah, there's a girl who flies a kite on the roof all the time. And I personally didn't think anything of it, but I quickly found out that, boy, was I wrong. So I didn't quite understand why the girls were so adamant that Mary was up on the roof and they would go get her. I went, okay, like, whatever, yeah, okay, no big deal. And then I find out why the girls were insisting they go in and got her. Because Mary was stark raving on the roof, flying a kite. And let me just tell you, Mary wasn't a really naturally pretty girl. You know, like, she was a nice person and everything, but she certainly wasn't by any means going to make it to, you know, a model for Sears catalog, let's just say. You know, like, just no, it just wouldn't have happened. But she was a very nice girl. Everybody liked her, including me. And then the girls start talking about, well, what should we do? Like, well, you know, this is 1970. Like, there's no nurse or anything in the school or anything. Like, you know, like, there's no medical facilities, let's put it that way. Like, nothing. So they start having, like, I keep seeing them in little conferences, you know, like, and I knew they were talking about Mary. So I went, oh, okay, well, I'm sure the girls have it well in hand, right? So Mary went from, hey, do I have any acrylic paint that I can recommend? I certainly do, my friend. Water bro? Yes, I can. But it's a bit more complicated than... First of all, what I gotta ask you is, what kind of art do you do? Is it like high detail, impasto, whatever? You know, like whatever kind of art you do. It doesn't matter, but that will kind of let me know what kind of paint to recommend you. And you also gotta let me know your budget. So if you give me those two bits of information, I will certainly give you the artist tour of the paint world, and what's good and what isn't. Hello? Water bro? Are you there? Okay, let me know. Just let me know, and I'll steer you in the right direction. Sorry, I was just ruminating about this girl when I went to Ontario College of Art. But anyway, I hadn't thought of it in years. So, Mary, well, the girls finally figure out that Mary has a problem, because it goes from like once every few weeks to going up there to an everyday occurrence. Like, if you want to know where Mary is, the first thing you think is she must be on the roof flying a kite. It's like that. So what to do? Well, I didn't know, because I really didn't know her except from when I met her at the Ontario College of Art. I didn't know her, but she did have some friends that kind of knew her from before, and they were really concerned. I mean, but you know, it wasn't as if it was I mean, really, it was harmless. Yeah, I mean, but it was a little weird, I gotta admit. So, what happens? Well, nothing for a while. So I would say maybe 2 weeks go by, and now Mary's never in class. Never. Never, ever, never. And if you'd asked me, well, where's Mary? I would just say she's probably up on the roof. But now she's got a following, right? I mean, people are going up on the roof to see her flying the kite in the nude. And we got people up there doing sketches of her flying the kite in the nude, which really I think was a really bad idea, because it kind of just egged her on to do it more. But you know, it was peace, love. You know, do your thing. If it feels good, do it. That was the time. Just after Woodstock, you know, and then there became huge. Not huge, I shouldn't say that, not huge arguments, but arguments about, she's not hurting anybody, man, like, you know, like, just leave her alone, she's just doing her thing, which, frankly, I didn't care one way or the other, to be honest with you. Like, if you want to go on the roof of the school nude, fly a kite, then I really didn't care. I know it sounds callous, but so what? You know, like, I didn't care. Like, I thought she might be having some sort of a breakdown, but again, I didn't know her that well. I knew her from school, but I didn't know her from before school, so So I didn't say anything. I just kept my 2 cents, like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure that, somebody will figure all this out someday, or whatever. And, one day, well, the word went around really quick, I must admit. A guy shows up, but he wasn't an artist. Like he like a suit showed up. Like, well, what I mean, you knew right away he wasn't an artist. So and he had a bag with him. So I thought, oh, he looks like a doctor. Well, that's what he was. So he went up and talked to her, and I have no idea what was said. Not a clue. But Mary was gone for the rest of the semester. So things died down. So we all did Christmas break and everything else. Nobody even thought about it anymore. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, certainly not gonna get all bent out of shape about this. Even if I forgot about it, frankly. And we have the Christmas break and then come back in January. Mary's back. Everybody's, oh, Mary, good to see you. And yeah, she's in good spirits, and so everybody's, yeah, great. She's attending class. Everything's good. And this is where I came into it, and we were in an audio-visual class. And I got to tell you, like, in those days, a video camera probably cost about 50 grand. And we had one in the school because we were taking courses about like how to use a video camera, in art, from an artist point of view. And the instructor was a bit of a freak, I gotta admit, but he wasn't that much older than us. He'd been like maybe 28, 20. Well, he was older than us, but he would have been in his late 20s, I figured. So one day we go into the class, and he's got one of those professional, well, the school had one, like a professional video, like the video we used to buy it was like half-inch, I think the tapes were. I don't know, something like that, I guess. But anyway, professional videotape that kind of videotaped at I bet like broadcast quality. They called it. I don't know. It was inch. The tape was an inch thick, so it was broadcast quality tape. That's what they called it. I don't know. The resolution was amazing. Well, at the time, anyway, it wasn't 1280p or anything, but it was broadcast quality. That's what they called it. So, he's decided to do a movie. So he wants us to see it and critique it and say, what do you think? And we go, yeah, sure. We'd like to see it, yeah. It's an art movie, right? Well, man. Oh, man. Water Bro, I am here if you want to and just give me those answers so I can direct you to the paint. If you're gone, that's okay too, but just to let you know. So anyway, we watch, he starts the video. Oh my God. First of all, it's about as close to a porno video as you can get. Well, yeah, it was as close to a porno movie as you could get. Bearing in mind there was porno movies in those days were like all on 16mm. Like, you couldn't just go into a store and buy a porno movie. They had movie houses you could go to, I guess, but I never personally went, but they, I can't remember the name of the most famous one. But anyway, in Toronto anyway, so this was on tape though, so nobody showed anything on tape. So maybe he was the forerunner of it, I don't know. I have no idea. But the bottom line is this was about, again, as close to a porno movie as a human being can get. And who's the star of the show? You got it, Mary. And after some porno-like situations, they have Mary going up onto the roof, stark naked, and flying her kites. Now this is January, and let me tell you, it is cold. And oh, it was unbelievable. So the girls in the class went apeshit. I gotta tell you, I didn't have a big opinion one way or the other because, frankly, I was not that interested in audiovisual. It was just part of the stuff you had to do. So yeah, whatever. But then I noticed it was Mary, and her friends went apeshit. I mean that, apeshit. Oh my God! Talk about oh, it was a Donnybrook. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, it was a Donnybrook. Oh my God, the arguments that came up. Now the reason I said that I kind of blame myself a little bit for this is that he didn't even know who Mary was. Like, you know, there'd be like 40 people in this group. And I don't think he ever even knew who Mary was. And we would break down sometimes into discussions about what was going on in the world and stuff like that. And this is pre-Nixon now, right? But Vietnam War was raging. So, yeah, there's lots of subjects where everybody had an opinion on. And so, for some reason, we got around. The whole discussion got around to Eskimos. I know. Eskimos. Like, how to get to there, I don't remember, but it got around Eskimos. And Mary, I think this was her pet subject, because what happened was she started saying how terrible it was that Western culture had destroyed the Eskimo culture, you know, by virtue of snowmobiles and rifles and, you know, the trappings of Western civilization, and had taken these poor people that were quite happy as Eskimos and yanked them into the 20th century. Now remember, this is back around 1970, so Eskimos had been introduced really into the 20th century not that long before, like in the 30s or 20s, that type of thing. And oh, I remember. Yes, we had first seen a short film on the Eskimos. That's what it was, which started the discussion. Okay, that's what it was. And it was a film regarding the purity of this civilization which was true. I mean, they were, you know, they were one with nature up in the north, right? So no argument there. That wasn't the thing. But she insisted that it was the fault of us, like Joe Public, that we had corrupted these people into needing guns and snowmobiles and, oh God, endless stuff. That was her opinion. So it got around to me somehow. I forget how it worked, and I said, well, I agree with Mary to a point. I said, you know, in a perfect world, the Eskimos would be a pure society, not needing, just like they were for thousands of years. I said, but you're making a decision for them to marry. And then she went, no, I'm not. And I said, yes, you are. And I said, the decision is that you don't want them to have anything that makes their life easier. And then it was like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, I said, well, let me ask you. If you're an Eskimo and somebody shows you a rifle that you can kill a seal from, now remember, this is a long time ago, because you're eating the seals, right? So you can kill a seal from 200 yards away with your rifle instead of spending a whole day sneaking up on the hole and heaving a harpoon at it. And now you can get, instead of being out overnight on the ice floes, you can get it and bring it home to your family to feed them. Or the fact that you don't have to spend the whole night out in the Arctic because your snowmobile is 10 times faster than your dog sled was. And you don't have to hunt for the dogs either, because dogs have been replaced with snowmobiles, skidoos in those days. I said, why do you think the Eskimos want all the trapments of modern society? I said, it makes their lives easier and safer. And I said, and then she went ballistic on me. I didn't understand. I was a cultural assassin and all this stuff. And I can remember it like yesterday. So I got up, because people were sort of going, yeah, man, maybe you don't quite get the whole thing. And I'm going, just fucking how stupid. Well, remember, we're dealing with a lot of artists. So I said, okay, here's the position. that I'm really saying, my position, what I'm saying. I said, it would seem that Mary wants to keep the Eskimos in some sort of gigantic zoo so we can look in on them and see how cute they are and living like they did for the last 5,000 years or 10,000 years or whatever the hell it is. And I said, basically what she wants is to make the Arctic into a gigantic zoo. Well, this kind of resonated with people. I think it, all of a sudden the conversation went from yeah, Mary, you have a point, to yeah, you're out of your mind, Mary. Well, it was almost like a shift in the discussion, like people just sort of, I don't know, they just sort of, like the you can see the wheels were turning, and when the wheels turned, they went, yeah, it was the zoo line that did it. Anyway, and I hadn't thought about it ahead of time, it just came out naturally, so it wasn't, I didn't set her up or anything, I just, for whatever reason, made this point, and then everybody turned against her. And, oh, she was just beside herself. Distraught. Just distraught. And, like even her friends kind of went, well, yeah, Mary, he's got a point. Like, you want to keep them in a zoo. You didn't ask the Eskimos what they want. You know, like, that's not right. I mean, they want to have that now. Then why can't they? You know, like, these are people. They're not pets. They're not zoo animals. You know, like, so the discussion sort of took off in the wrong direction for Mary, and she literally, she lost it completely, and she walked out of the class. And then the next week when we had the class again, there was the movie, and I went, oh shit. So then all her friends went after the audiovisual teacher. Nothing to do with me at this point. But I always thought, like, you know, I guess maybe I pushed her a little hard. But, you know, be that as it may, I felt sorry for her, but Mary never came back after that. I never saw her again. And the only thing I heard about her after that was that somebody told me that her parents were taking care of her, because she was living in, not a residence, she was living like in a, well, all the houses around the Terra College were like rooming houses, so they were like a residence. They didn't have a proper residence in those days, so all these old houses, you could rent a room, or, and they were all like efficiency units and all that kind of stuff. And all I heard was, yeah, her parents have stepped in and are taking care of her. And that was, well, that was kind of the end of Mary. But it was sad, I gotta tell you, to see like a, and I never went back to the audiovisual class again. I thought, you know, man, you must have known this girl, there was something wrong with her. I mean, everybody in the school knew about this. I thought, you know, you knew about this, and you exploited her. Really, you really did. because, you know, you wanted to make this movie and you thought it was an art movie. Fair enough, but really what you did is you picked somebody who was not dealing with a full deck. And I never went back to the class. And remember when I told you a long time ago when I first started streaming that I spent a lot of time in, tons of time in life drawing? Well, that was one of the reasons, because it was in any class that I decided the guy was just an idiot. Then, because there was lots of people like that. Like, just because they're good at what they do doesn't mean they're not idiots. And every time that I decided that it wasn't worth learning anything because the idiot factor was just too high, then I supplement with the life drawing class, where the guy was he was the best charcoal artist I ever saw in life drawing. Really, he was well, I never saw anything like him before. I had never experienced that. It was, you'd say to him like, can you show me how to really draw a hand or something? Like, and he would do a hand, and I'll never forget it. He would then he would put arrows out on every little bit of the hand where he had changed tone and depth of charcoal, and changed charcoal to a lighter charcoal. Oh, it was just incredible. And he would just give it to you. He'd say, here, practice this. And yeah, practiced it. And by God, let me tell you, it was incredible. He was the most talented guy I ever met, and he loved jazz. Loved it. So I got introduced to a lot of people musically that I didn't even know existed at the time. But, you know, this was the 1970, and I'm trying to think of some of the names you might know. Nina Simone would be one of them. That kind of music, you know, like you just go, wow. Like, wow. Incredible. And that's all we listened to when we were in his class. Well, I listened to a lot of it because I was in his class a lot. So I got to know him, and he was just a regular guy. Like, well, he was a professional artist, but he was just a regular guy. He just had an uncanny ability for life drawing. Amazing guy. And he taught me a ton of stuff. And by the time I was finished there, let me tell you, my life drawing skills were like top notch. The trouble is that when you do life drawing, you have to do it a lot. Like I did, like, because they had models there every day. So I basically had life drawing hours and hours a week. And the trouble is when you stop going for all those hours and hours and hours, you get rusty fast. And he had told me that. And he was right. So my life drawing now is just to sit with a model. I mean, it's fine. I don't mean to say it's anything wrong with it, but it's nothing like I did in terraculture. That was amazing stuff now, and I'm never happy with it because I know if I practice it would come back, but there just isn't a big call for it, which is why when they changed the requirements at Sheridan College to get into the animation program that Disney basically owns, that's where they get their artists. And they too many kids started showing up doing anime and all that stuff, but they only could do, it wasn't based on a good foundation. So what they did was they said, okay, you gotta show us your life drawings. Well, right away they cut half the kids were cut out of the program. Not cut out of the program, but just didn't make it into the program. And I had a student that this happened to, and she was good enough to get in the program from previous years, but she didn't have the life drawing because I didn't have life drawing in my studio. So she came to me with her mother and said, well, what do we do? I said, can you teach her? I said, well, yeah, but it's too expensive, to be honest with you, because when I had done it, you know, the Terra College of Art, they paid for it. You weren't paying for a model, like personally, and that would have meant that I had to pay for a model personally and all that stuff. I said, well, no, I can teach her, but I can't afford to teach her and pay for a model and charge you the lessons and make any money off it. So I told her mother that up front, and she understood. So then I knew of a guy in one city over who had a life drawing studio. So I called him, easy, and I said, well, what's the cost, and what is it, and what are you doing? And, he made out, he was good. And funny enough, he knew about the guy from Terra College of Art. Funny, eh? But anyway, he was about my age, and I said, listen, I got a student, and he goes, no problem, send her over. So she went for a whole, I think a semester, to life drawing classes, and she got in. Which made me happy. And I remember talking to him. He said the biggest problem he had with her was what I taught her. And what I mean by that is, I had taught her what like all artists basically fall into if they're doing a bit of some life drawing is, you get really good at a certain number of poses. And I basically taught her those poses and said, if you're doing this type of movement or this type of movement, here's the pose, a really good pose. And I taught her all those. And the trouble is, every time she went into somebody, there was a bit different pose, she would lapse into what I had taught her, and he kind of had to unteach her that to, you know, look with her eyes instead of with her preconceptions. And I apologize for that, because I didn't know they were changing the playbook, you know. I said, no, well. And I knew also what they were doing at Sheridan College, because they were weeding out the kids who spent 10 years drawing copies of Japanese anime and got so good at it that it was just unbelievable. And they didn't want that. Or Disney didn't want that, obviously. They wanted, you know, people who could just, well, create something brand new, you know, something they want that hadn't been seen before. And, you know, they were right in a sense, Disney, because that's why you got animated cars and animated this and that, and they take on human movement and in the shape of a car or whatever. But the point was that they were right. But again, the prior to that, you know, animated films were like Snow White, and you know, it was a pretty close shot. But this is like just before video games went from really simplistic stuff to lifelike animation. And that's what happened. What can I say? That's what happened. It was the times, right? Things change. Because if you remember, like, this is like when Spielberg entered the picture with Jurassic Park, and he was going to do, I don't know if you know that, but originally Spielberg was going to do claymation. That was that's what he was planning on doing. And when he saw it, he decided that wasn't good enough. He didn't think that would be a big breakthrough for him. And what he did was he digitized everything, which was really smart because he got fluid movement. And he never looked back, like nobody did. That was now the industry staple, fluid movement. And claymation couldn't do that. So what happened was they needed artists who could render that kind of stuff. So the guys who did claymation, like the sculptors and whatnot, they all went out of business. Claymation died, and digital was born. And really, it was Spielberg who did it. Like, took it like to the level it's turned into. And the rest is history. So Disney was right. They knew what was coming, so they wanted to have people who could do that kind of stuff. And the rest is history. And that's the way it is now. The only part of the industry that kind of it kind of surprises me is like a lot of the new games coming out. It's like they're stepping backwards, not forwards. It's backwards, and I'm a little confused as to why. Like they're going and they're virtually going to stuff that they had discarded, and I don't know. I don't quite understand why. Like retro looking, like it really wasn't retro. Just so they couldn't do any better. So I don't quite understand the movement, but oh well. Maybe it's just a flash in the pan. Who knows? I first started seeing it not long ago. One of my students came in and said, "What do you think of this?" And it was called Cuphead or Cupman or something. I said, and they quickly told me this is all hand animated. I went, "Oh, okay." But I looked at it and I went, "You're kidding me? Like this is." This is what's you're giving 2 seconds to? And yeah, they were. So I kind of just let them know, like, okay, that's good, but I'm not bothering to teach you that. And I made a real decision there in terms of teaching my students, because it was a step back, and in my opinion anyway, and I didn't think there'd be a long-term call for it, and maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. And there's lots of other genres to teach, so they know I won't teach them that, so they don't ask me anymore. I said, it's just too simplistic. I said, I'm teaching you at a level where that's just not. You can do. I told them you can do that crap at home. Why do you need me? You're way ahead of that curve already. So, and I kind of think they agreed. At least I didn't hear any complaints anyway. You know, when I teach, I'm teaching. The point is, like I'm teaching stuff that will knock the ball out of the park. I don't want to go backwards. And that's why I told them. I said, no, I'm not. It's just not up to the standards that I'm teaching you. So do all you want, but I'm not doing it. I'm not going to even waste my time. But that was like in the fall last year. I haven't heard about it since. So maybe it's. I don't pay much attention to that stuff. So maybe it's coming, it's gone. I don't know. I don't really know, but I know one thing. I ain't doing it. By the way, you're seeing me use actually glazing fluid right now, and how I was railing about, talk about teaching an old dog new tricks. So on Saturday, I had some of my students, and I was going, it really ticks me off, like, because really I'm an oil painter. I said, I can get glazes and oil that are matte and all this stuff, and I said, I just can't get it in acrylic, so I've got to go the long way around the table, which is because I don't want the gloss. And why don't they make this? Like, why don't they make matte gloss? And one of my Sheridan College kids said, well, they do. I said, yeah, I know they do, but not in acrylic that I can see. He goes, no, they do make it. So I went, are you shitting me? And he went, no. They make it. So I went, you gotta be kidding me. What? Here I am complaining about it, and the product's on the market. It has been for some time, apparently. So I quickly went over to my art supply place online. Jesus, there it was. I went, oh my God. So it was delivered. I have it. I'm using it right now. And it's fabulous. No gloss at all. Like, don't get me wrong, this old master, so I build up to a gloss. But I don't want it in the lower levels when I'm doing some. And that's why I wasn't using it. But water's good, but Jesus, it's got its own limitations as well. And I know that. So I was complaining bitterly, and they said, well, they have that. And today it arrived. And it's amazing. So, old dog, new tricks, well, you're looking at them. I'm that old dog. Most definitely. I'm getting glazes in that I didn't think I could. So it kind of, what can I say, changed my painting techniques overnight, in one day. All thanks to this one kid, this 20-year-old, wherever he is, that said, yes, I do. I went, oh, I haven't seen it. Like, wondered, how do you get it? He goes, oh, when they gave me my package when I started Sheridan, it was in the package. I haven't even ever used it. I went, because he's just learning painting, so he never would, so he never needed it. I went, oh, man. Oh, hi, Gray. How you doing? Yeah, it has been a while, man. I'll be honest with you, I've got a group of students who are finished college and stuff like that, so I'm teaching like every day, man. And it's I won't say it's wearing me out. I don't mean that, because I'm quite happy with the production and all that stuff that I'm getting out of my students. But I don't have a lot left for painting, so I'm trying to figure out a way to fix that. But my guess is it's going to take a while, because I'm kind of like, I'm suffering a little bit of art exhaustion, I guess. Because when you teach, you know, it's like playing 8 games of chess at one time. Now, I don't have a ton of, don't get me wrong, I'm retired. I don't have a ton of students. I just have like, I've got 3 for the summer. But, you know, they're working in different projects, and one's acrylic, and one's in Prisma, and one's in, oh, whatever, watercolor. They want one in watercolor. Anyway, so I'm finding it a little bit not overwhelming, but, you know, I was in Belize for 3 years, so the old levels of you can't wear me out. I found out that, you know what? I'm older now. And I'm not worn out. I'm just it just doesn't leave me that energy level that I need to do this kind of art. That's the problem. Because this isn't mindless stuff. I mean, I really got to concentrate when I'm doing this type of art, because I'm doing Da Vinci, right? So it's not as if I can take an extended nap while I'm doing it or anything. So that's kind of what's happened. But yeah, it's been a while, but things will go back to normal, I think, in September. So. Because, yeah, we're going outside and sketching and stuff, and yeah. But I've been good. I mean, I'm doing lots of work. Just not so much on Twitch. But as I said, it'll get back to normal. Because I've lined up some paintings I want to do, and I'm doing them online here, so they're all lined up, sketched out, ready to go. Got the canvases done, and what's really I'm really looking forward to is I'm going to be doing them on birch panel supports, which is kind of cool, because, you know, I've painted on board a lot, but I've never painted on birch. I don't know why. So I got some, and they're all ready to roll. In fact, this would have been done on a birch panel had they come in on time, but they didn't. So I should have waited, but I didn't. I said, no, I got some time. I'm gonna do start her up, and I started her up. That's okay. I hope it's okay. I hope. Now, the other side of the coin, some of my students are producing stuff that is, well, one especially is producing professional level artwork, so that is just making me as happy as a you know what. I mean, God, it's just unreal. Because he's looking at me and I'm saying, you know what, that's as good as it gets. You're there. And he knows I'm right because he's getting some commissions. That's always a good sign. When you start getting people saying, could you do this for me? You go, yes. I said, you never turn down a commission. But there's no buts. I'm here. We run into a problem. You run into a problem. Here I am. So don't turn down a commission. I just think I just fucked up, but anyway. No, maybe not. I'm just trying to really work in a glaze of color in here. The glaze itself is throwing me for a loop, so. Looking out my back door. Looking out my door. Da 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 da. Da da One little thing that's going to throw me though in this, or could throw me in this pain that I gotta correct, is I have to put the background in. Because to get the layer of light on her skin, it has to be just right. So the only way I'm going to be able to tell that is put in the Payne's gray background. Looking out my back door. So I think what I'm going to do is go for one more. Oh, I just noticed something. And yes, I do know I'm trying to paint in titanium to white with transparent white, and I shouldn't be, but this is the last coat I'm doing of transparent before I get some titanium glazes down. I mean, transparent's great, don't get me wrong, but if you want to cover, you really can't. But you can do this. which is something you can't do with titanium white. We just throw a glaze in like this. Da, da, Marie. Da, da, da. So did you ever check out the Old Time Radio? Yes, I did. I checked it out. And I finally pardon me, wrong hole. Anyway, I finally realized that I was winning all the battles and losing all the wars. Because no matter what happened when I played them on the station, and they were all the music is public domain. These companies like Sony and Orchard Music and AdRev and Music and all these music places are basically all breaking the law. And what they've done is they've taken all these old public domain songs, and of which there's like millions of them, right? And they have monetized them from the public domain, which is illegal to do, by the way. You cannot do that. However, that said, they did it anyway. And the consequence is that every time you play one, their algorithm pops up that we represent so and so, or some fake. Most of the time they're fake. Some fake secondary company that owns the rights to this music. So I started writing, emailing, looking them up and emailing these companies. And when I found out that most of them didn't even exist, I realized that it was just a gigantic con. So then I started firing off letters, copying the Digital Copy Millennium Act, that what they were doing, and when I did that, they quickly backed off, these companies, but I never heard anything from the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. And I realized that, yeah, I'm going to win every war and lose all the battles. So that's why I stopped doing it. It just isn't worth it. Like I was taking like half hour a day to do the emailing. It's not worth it. I mean, if that's what the government allows them to do, then what else is new? And considering what's going on with the government, then it doesn't make much difference about music, does it? But anyway, on a happier note, Russell puts a nice, he puts a background in first. I don't normally put a background in. The reason I don't do it simply is that when I'm doing like an old master, I do it for other stuff, but I don't do it for the old masters. And the reason I don't is because I'm sorry, I'm looking for a color, so I'm half in the middle of doing this. Oh, come on. Well, okay, we can use some Van Dyke Brown. So when I'm doing this type of work, oh man, Tri-Art, I tell you, the paint's good, but it really and truly dries out so bloody fast. and it's good paint. I mean, don't get me wrong. Oh God, here's one I haven't even used yet. Oh yes, I have. Okay. Yep, same problem. Jesus Christ. Anyway. So when I'm not doing like an old master, I do put in the background first. But if you're doing an old master, I tend not to. And I don't do it because I'm working on a specific tone, you know. That's kind of what the reasoning is. And so consequently, I don't do it. But so the qualifier is I do it normally, but in this particular case, because this is Da Vinci, I'm between a rock and a hard place here, and it's put a little glazing medium in there. See if I can lighten the paint up from the tri-art. Jesus. I've used tri-art a lot, but I'll tell you that their formulation just isn't very good. It just isn't, unfortunately. And it's definitely something that annoys the hell out of me, because you lose the whole tube. So when I got home, those are the ones I had in Belize. So when I got home from Belize, I started, I just got out all my Liquitex and gold and professional paints, and I haven't had a problem since. But I'm still trying to use up the last of the tri-art, and oh God. As I said, here's the tube I hadn't even opened yet, and it's already gone skunky, you know? And it's not something that makes you happy, you know. Sorry. So I'm putting in a background that's a real, it's one of my concoctions that I use for a background. And it's composed of a lot of colors. One of the reasons I've developed these backgrounds over the years is that you just don't see one color. It's very it doesn't stand out by any means, but you don't see just one like flat black color on a background. It adds to the picture by telling your eye. You know, your eye tells you a lot of things that you don't actually even think about, eh? And that's one of the things that I discovered. So what I ended up doing is getting backgrounds that would play to that, and it works like a charm. Like your eye can see a color and not register. Like your eye sees it, registers it into your brain, and you're not conscious. You consciously don't pay attention to it, but something gives you a little shot of dopamine that says, ooh, that's kind of cool, I like that, because you're seeing a color that you may be seeing a color that you're partial to, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I did it. So it's a real combination of colors that I use, and that's the reason why. And they end up dark, obviously. Jesus. What the hell was that? Anyway, that's why I do it, because it's a I must tell Russell that little tip too, because it's a really good tip. In fact, creating, if you want to tell him for me, you go ahead, because I don't know next time I'm going to be over there. But yeah, you really got to spend some time and figure out your background in terms of colors, what works. And the dark colors really work well. Like I'll use some phthalo green and phthalo blues, and then I use some earth tones in it, and the concoction together looks very dark, but really it isn't really dark. I mean, it's not black dark, but it's dark enough for a portrait. And the richness of it really, really comes through. And that's kind of a trick that I learned a long time ago. And also too, in these old masters, I put it in a little bit later, because I don't know what to emphasize in the colors as yet. So when I get to it, then I know, like just from the colors of the painting, what to lean on in terms of color. But yeah, it's a little trick that mind you, it's just not my trick. A lot of professional artists do that. I mean, I did learn it myself. Nobody ever really taught it to me, but in discussions with other people who work professionally, they do the same thing. So you kind of come to that conclusion sooner or later. So I guess it's just an art thing. I don't know, but it works. That's the whole point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So the logic flow was, okay, I'm starting off with a really, say a Vermeer or something, where I'm really looking to make the light really pop on it. And what happens is, you see the colors he used. And let's say he used some, like he liked to do, use vermilion and ceruleans in it. Not cerulean, sorry, ultramarines. So what do? You in your background, you put those colors into it. And when you do that, it adds to the overall portrait, even though you don't really see them. You know, it's the same trick in the old oil painter trick. You know, you draw like a post in a field or something, right? On one side you put a thin layer of cerulean blue in the shade, and a really, really thin layer of bright orange or orange on the other side of the post or something. And what it does, the person who's looking at your painting never really picks up on that being in the painting, but it makes the post really pop, you know, if that's what you're trying to do. So it works the same way. That's an old oil painter's trick, to be honest with you. But I didn't learn. I was taught that, by the way. I didn't make that up. But it's the same idea. Like your eye doesn't see it, but sure as hell sees the post. Because nobody looks at a painting from like 3 inches away, right? They look at a painting from whatever distance you've designed it for. And unless you're an ultra realist, no, you don't. But it works in so many levels, and one of the levels it works on is that, like, the ultra realists know this. Like, the reason when people say, well, why bother, man? It's you know, it looks like a photograph, like a high-res photograph. Well, if you see them in person, no, they don't look like a high-res photograph. And the reason is that your eye, because it can pick up so many colors, knows when it's seeing a photograph most of the time. And that's because it's, no matter how good it is, it's still pixels. But when the ultra realists paint, there is no pixels. So the intensity is so incredible when you see them that you go, oh my God, it's life, it's real, you know? And they know that, and that's why they do it. And if you've ever done ultra realism, that's the trick. But the thing that works against them is that people take pictures of it, and then right away what they've done is gets pixelated. So you have to kind of see it in person. If you ever get a chance to go to like an art show or whatever, museum or whatever, and they're showing ultra realistic art, go, because you'll see what I mean right away if you don't already know. I mean, if you know, don't waste your time, but if you don't know, then go take a look. You'll see. It's incredible. Incredible. But that's kind of being an artist. You kind of have to know how people view things, you know. You got to know how the eye works, and this isn't something new. I mean, it's been known for centuries. I mean, look at a Rembrandt. If you go up to a Rembrandt, a real Rembrandt, and look at it, first thing you'll say is, holy shit, it doesn't look like anything. And then you walk back 10 paces and you go, oh my God, look at this painting. And that's because he knew exactly what he was doing. And you know, he was probably the last guys one of the last people who painted, really got commissions in the Baroque period, where he painted huge paintings. You know, then you go on to Swartz or Vermeer, guys like that, who started doing small paintings, and they basically did those because that was the market, right? The people who were buying them were wealthy middle class people who didn't live in castles and gigantic residences, and they just did not have the room for a painting that was 12 by 12. So in order to sell paintings, they started making paintings much smaller. Like The Girl in the Red Hat by Vermeer is only 17 inches by 9 inches. not even 17. Sorry, not 17. 7 by 9 inches. Actually, when I did that, I made it bigger than the original. Little, not much, but a little bit bigger. And then you need to get that. When you do that, then you have to put that kind of detail in. So it works on different spectrums, you know. But, as they say, art isn't just about drawing. It's got about knowing how people react to paintings and how people's eyes work and what works and what doesn't work. And now you'll also notice I'm not getting super close to the skin with this background, and the reason for that is simply that I will take a Payne's gray at the end and use that around the edges. Really close work, and that'll allow me more control. And it makes it extremely dark right around the face, even if it's just a little wee bit. And the reason for that is that then you've got a very high contrast. I don't use black on my backgrounds ever. Well, I shouldn't say that. I probably have at one point used black somewhere, but as a rule of thumb, I don't. Because, you know, black isn't black. It's just a grouping of colors, and they've just added a whole bunch of colors together and said, "Oh, that's black." Well, black is actually the absence of light. No light. Well, then the color black really isn't black. It's deep purples and stuff like that. And so it's just a question of knowing that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not like it's rocket science or anything like that. It's just, you just get so you know. You know? You know, you know? I'm going to skip the try art altogether and stick with a professional. There we go. That's another thing too, is that each company will tell you it's got this color in it, and by and large they're close, but they're not always close. That was really dumb what I just did there. I scooped a bunch of paint right into the top of the thing. There we go. Get out of there. Yeah, you gotta watch that because it'll migrate through your paint. frankly, I don't really care, because the tri-art's on its way out anyway. So. And I need some Quin Magenta. No, I got some of that already. Put a little bit of this in. Okay. So what has happened here now is I've used some Galleria burnt umber shortcutting, and it's just come back to bite me in the ass. So now I gotta go and put some ultramarine in it to darken it down. It's just not quite the color that it was on the other side. Jesus, why did I use the tri-art paint? Stupido. So I gotta chase it. Okay, I gotcha. Alright. Da, 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 da. There we go. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 memories, memories. Do 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 So why am I singing an old John Fogerty tune? I don't know. That's the scary part. I don't know. You know, tunes pop into your head, my head, and I just, they stick there. I don't know why. Last night I had one of the Police tunes in my head from Sting. Jesus, I couldn't get it out of my head. Out my door, da 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 memories I've been playing. Get down to girl. Open up my back door. Oh, don't do that. Don't. Jesus, come on. Now I'm going to flip her around upside down, and I'm going to get a smaller brush, and I'm going to get it closer in here. Oh, you son of a. Memories playing. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 Well, I think that background will have to do for now. I don't see anything untoward, really. And it allows me now to make any adjustments I need to on the skin tone, because I've now contrasted it to the top as high as I can. And that simply means that her skin needs to glow, and glow it is. So I'm not far off. I'm basically titanium white off, and that's not bad. That's it's making me happy. Dun, 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 dun. It's making me happy that I'm so, because now I can see where I need to go avec the contrasting. And that is the whole reason I did this. So it worked. It worked, it worked, it worked. And now it has to dry. So next time I come, I will be working on the final facial colors. And there we go. Background in, brush, in desperate need of cleaning. You wonder why I'm such, well, you wouldn't know that, would you? Anyway, when I'm teaching students acrylic, I am an absolute freak when it comes to, when you're not using your brush, you stick it in the water. If you were able to talk to them, they'd tell you, yeah, man, he's crazy about that. Well, the reason for that is, I think I've, on a quick tally one time, I figured out that maybe I've destroyed 1,000 brushes over the years. Anyway, by forgetting and leaving them out of the water, and then the acrylic gets on them, and then I get, you gotta spend like 3 days trying to get acrylic out of it. Honestly, drives me nuts. Because oil, you just put your brush down, crush, and come back to it the next day. I mean, it makes no difference. But acrylic, oh my God, you throw it away. So that is why. And that's all she wrote for today. Got the background in. Happy, 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 happy days. And away we go. Then it's on to some very fine brush work that will need to be done with sap green, chromium green, and yellow ochre on the top of the bounding on her dress and in the necklace. And I have made a slight change in this painting. I assume you may have noticed it, but I cut down the chain around, or the thing around her neck, whatever it is, and I put in a string of pearls. Why? Well, I don't know. I think it's because my favorite artist is Vermeer, and something about pearls. Now, I may change my mind at some point, considering there's somebody who's on the TV like non-stop right now that seems to be wearing pearls all the time. It kind of puts me off. But anyway, regardless of that, there she is, and she will be we'll be finishing her off in a short period of time. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. It's been a slice, and possibly I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see. And if not, you know what I'm doing. As I mentioned, I'm doing some teaching and whatnot. And so far, I've got her chest color down and got the glazing down, just about as what I want. And I think she's looking good. Very 15th century. No, 14th century. Jesus, I'm sorry. Da Vinci. Very pretty young thing. Anyway, happy with it so far. And adieu, and we will see you soon.